Joseph Young knocked to ensure the room was empty, then opened the door to the executive meeting room. The square room had a perfectly fitted round table sitting in the middle. He walked around and took a seat, putting his laptop down and making himself comfortable. As he did so, the AC kicked on, pushing a cool breeze into the room, a stark contrast from the dry desert heat that was just outside the window. First in was head coach Jake Thomas and his assistant coach Bryce Jones. Shortly thereafter, they were followed by the head scout Cuba Gooding and Patrick Harper. Lastly, Alexander Everett, the assistant GM, and Derek Ferguson walked in, the CFO. Joseph started off the meeting. I know we've all been very busy, and I wanted to thank everyone for making my transition as easy as they possibly could. I wanted to bring you all here today to talk over a strategy we need moving forward. We need to continue to grow this team day in and day out. I have said multiple times that I think we need to build through the draft. However, today we're here to set forward a detailed plan. Cuba Gooding spoke up first. Well, I think we have the best chance to get some real players to this year's draft. Dion Forte and Jeff Moreland are the two players I've been targeting so far. Dion Forte is a 7'2" center out of Georgia Tech. He's projected to be the first round draft pick, so getting him might involve a little bit of luck. He has a well-rounded game and can contribute right away on offense and on defense. On top of that, he has an expressive personality that will breathe life into this franchise. Jeff Moreland is the opposite, a quiet guy but a tireless worker. The 6'7" shooting guard out of UNC should really develop over the next few years, and I think he could be the best player of this class. He's projected to go mid-first round, so we might need to move up and trade for him. Alexander Everett, the assistant GM, spoke up. I like the idea, Cuba, but I just don't think we have the assets, Joe. We can't just get draft picks. We don't have the talent to trade. Joseph looked back at Everett. I think we'll be able to get 4 or maybe 5 picks in this year's draft. 2 of our own picks, and then a few for trading Zebo and some other players at the trade deadline. Alexander Everett spoke back up. There's always a chance Zebo gets hurt, Joe. There's a chance no one's in need of a player at the deadline. There's always a chance the contracts don't work out, or the deal falls through. The team needs to be ready for the draft and free agency. I understand that you're a little underwhelmed by building this team through free agency. I'm here to show you that some of the players we think are possible to get in free agency this year. If we're able to land the number 1 pick and solidify our position at center, I think we should really look over guard in this year's free agency. I think maybe we send a 4-year max deal to a guy like Klay Thompson. Joseph scoffed. You think Klay would come to this team? Head coach Jake Thomas spoke up. Maybe we can't get Klay, but maybe we get someone like D'Angelo Russell or Harrison Barnes with an offer like that. Cuba Gooding then said, we offer a max deal to someone, we have to be sure they will work out. We have to be sure they'll fit in the city, in the team, in the scheme, in the locker room. I don't know if we can know that through free agency. Derek Ferguson then chimed in. Well, if we lose the Dion Forte sweepstakes, we can't just wait around for another year to get better. Jake Thomas. If we don't get the number 1 pick, and we can't trade up, we might want to take a look at a guy like Vucevic. We might be able to lure him away with a good deal. Sure, we'll have to overpay, and we can't know he'll work out in every facet. I think he's a guy we can definitely grow over the next few years. Patrick Harper then jumped in. We can't know everything about a free agent. If we pick a player, we are gambling a draft pick. But if we get a free agent, we have to gamble money and cap room. If we get this player through the draft, we get the ability to know the player, to try them out for 5 years, pretty much all under team control. We really need to make small moves through free agency and our big splash through the draft. If we try to do it any other way, we'll end up being a team stuck in the middle, with overpaid players keeping us as an average team with no bright future and no draft picks to help us build. Jake Thomas, the coach, then spoke up one last time. You don't see it. If we don't improve this year, you might not come back for a 3rd year. We all might not be back for a 3rd year. There's only 32 jobs in this league, and there are a lot of people willing to take them. If we aren't going to make big improvements through the draft, we can't just sit around and wait for something to happen. Joseph, realizing the meeting wasn't going anywhere, decided to put an end to it. What we need is a 2-pronged approach. Alright, Cuba. I want you to assemble a short list of players in this upcoming draft you think will make a difference. We will look them over and try to piece together a plan if we get the number 1 pick and if we don't. Derek, I want you to work with Patrick and Alex to scour free agency for players that are young who we can grow, especially ones that can fit our scheme. We left the meeting with no real plan for our offseason. As expected, we came out of the gate struggling. We dropped a bunch of games right off the bat and didn't see the progression that I thought we would from some of our younger talent. After an especially bad road trip, the media called me in for an interview. I walked out and took my seat in front of a sheet covered with our team's logo. Sitting at the table was my assistant GM. I took my seat, grabbed the conveniently placed water bottle as a few cameras flashed. Nathan Melbourne was the first to ask me a question. Tonight's loss makes it 5 straight. It's clear something isn't working. And what do you think that is, Joe? The question had a friendly tone, but was clearly designed to trip me up. I took a long pause before answering, finally saying, "You know, I have to take this one. The buck stops with me. That means when we lose like this, I have to wear it." The day after I talked with the media and took responsibility for my team's lack of wins, I called Patrick Harper into my office. "I don't know if it's the training or the players, Patrick, but I haven't been impressed with the growth of our young core. I had hoped to see more of a progression out of a guy like Tyus Jones or Koki, but this whole team seems stagnant." "Well, Joe, I recommend that we push them a little bit more," Patrick responded. "When we first set up the schedule, we were thinking we would only use a 10-player rotation. Currently, we're using the 13-man rotation, which gives us a little bit more room to push them in practice." "Well, I hope so, Patrick. We really need some growth from these players. The fans are not going to stand for these losses. Neither will I." As we continued the season, the games got a little bit closer, but the wins still didn't come. We made small moves, trading for Devontae Adams to try to get another big man that might be able to help us out. Terry Free called me into his luxurious office. In typical fashion, Terry got right to business. "Terry, I have a new wish list item I hope you can accomplish. We need to cut ties with Ryan Bokoff." I agreed to move the player, secretly hoping to get some picks in return. I left the office and searched for trades immediately. We ended up being able to make a deal with the Golden State Warriors. We gave them Brokoff and Prometheus, and the Warriors sent us back Andrew Bogut and their first-round pick. It wasn't much, and the pick was probably projected to be the last of the first round, but it was another first-round pick we could add to our team. It was no secret that Las Vegas was bad, and they had just added yet another loss to the column. Joseph Young felt locked into a losing season that was grinding him and his staff down. After the game, he took his beating from the media, then he left the arena and went home. As he got inside, he threw off his tie, kicked his shoes off, and poured himself a glass of scotch. He took a seat on his couch and was starting to relax, starting to let the tension of another tough day at the office go, when he heard his work phone ring. Begrudgingly, he got up to look it over. The message was from Terry Free. It said, "This comes out tomorrow," followed by a link. He clicked it, and it was a report from Nathan Melbourne. The article read, "A message to the Outlaws." I began this season with a positive attitude, thinking that the new Las Vegas team would bring some pride to the city. However, it is clear that Joseph Young is an inept GM. He has been unable to use his massive cap space to do anything, sitting $60 million under the cap. This could have been used to bring in veteran players, as his youth experiment has clearly been a failure. His inaction has worn the fan base down. We need to send Joseph Young and his entire front office staff a message. We won't pay to watch this mediocre team. Slowly, this will start to take a toll on his bottom line. Tonight, after the loss, I asked him what he thought the weakest part of his team was. His answer was that it was himself. He is, after all, a first-year GM. I'm inclined to believe, as my sources say, that there are plenty of teams willing to send us players on a bad contract. As I have said before, these players could help us and bolster a young lineup. However, Young has sat idly by and made no moves. I do have hope from the fans, though. A few weeks ago, fans upset with the team signed a petition to have him removed. In fact, 10,000 fans signed a petition to have Joseph Young fired. I have brought all of this up to Joseph Young in press conferences, and he has simply said, please give me more time. My statement to Joseph Young is this. You need to give us a team that we care about. Give us some players that we can get behind and show some respect for the city of Las Vegas. Joseph Young swung back his glass and finished off his drink before getting up from the couch. His driver picked him up and they went back to the arena. He opened the door to his office and walked in. He started to look over some reports, trying to figure out what the fallout of this article was going to be, trying to figure out ways he could make the team better. He worked tirelessly all night, only stopping to change his shirt when he saw the sun peeking out over the Las Vegas desert. The next day, bright and early, he had a meeting with CFO Derek Ferguson. Derek joined Joseph in his office overlooking the practice court. The room had a stale air in it from Joseph Young running the fans all night. A little bit groggy and frustrated, Joseph Young started the conversation. Derek, I've noticed a disturbing trend. Your reports keep telling us that our fan interest is high, but our games have maybe 50 to 60% capacity. Derek Ferguson jumped in. We don't have any players that really move the needle for the local market. There aren't any guys that people want to come out to the arena to see. You may want to think about that in next free agency. Joseph sat back in his chair trying to ponder what he had just said. Well, how can you tell me fan interest is high? If things keep up at this pace, it seems we might not have the budget to really approach free agency. Derek responded, all our indicators show that fan interest is high. Joseph Young, these are the indicators that matter, pointing at a chart of the attendance. This is what tells us if we can make a move in free agency. This tells us if we can support this team. And right now, Joseph trailed off to frustration. Alright, I'll update the indicators, Derek said. Joseph took a deep breath. Thanks, that's all for now. He picked up his mug of coffee, the second on the very early day.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you're joining us just right now, it looks like this play is going to be pretty much for the ball game as Troy Williams tries to inbound for Seattle. Williams holds the ball, kicks it down into the post, gets blocked. Marcin Gortat with the rebound though, and gets the rebound and gets the bucket to go. Las Vegas calls a timeout. Las Vegas tries to inbound the ball to an alley-oop because there's only 0.6 seconds. And no good. And that is your ball game. Las Vegas drops one here tonight to Seattle. As time expires, the Seattle players running around with a great amount of enthusiasm.
The team had hit a fork in the road. The big question coming down to the trade deadline was this. Do we trade Zebo? Can we afford to trade Zebo? He was the most marketable player on the team. He was the only reliable scorer. But on the other side, he was the most valuable asset and might be able to get us a return. Might be able to get us some picks that could help build the future.